אותו בניצחון מוחץ. אני גאה להיות חייל בצבא הגנה לישראל. 5 ימים לאחר מכן, עמית נפל בשדה הקרב. על המילים האחרונות שלו, עמית לא חתם בשמו. הוא חתם עליהם בציור של דגל ישראל. זאת הצוואה של עמית. ניצחון מוחץ. אתמול נפגשתי יחד עם רעייתי שרה, עם פורום הגבורה של בני משפחות הנופלים. הם נתנו לי חוברת זיכרון, והנה הכותרת שלה.
Soldiers, and this is its headline, its title. In their deaths, they decreed to us a victory. That is the will and testament of all our heroes. They did not fall in vain. I came here this evening to say we are on our way to that decisive victory. It is in our hands. It's not a matter of perhaps weeks, but it is in a matter of months. The IDF are working systematically, and they will achieve all the objectives of the war. They're going to release all the hostages, eliminate Hamas, and Gaza will no longer be a threat to Israel. I have decided that that is our objective. That is the decision I made at the beginning of this war, and we will not suffice with less. I remember when I was a commander in the General Staff Commando Force, we said we never go back until we complete our task. And I've heard from our soldiers and commanders, we do not come back until we win. And this is in contradiction to what has been said by all sorts of past exes, an ex that or an ex that. And that is in contradiction to many who said in the international arena as well, before the ground forces went in. They said it won't succeed. It's a mistake to go into the Gaza Strip. We won't succeed in ridding the hospitals of them without killing innocent citizens. And they kept warning us that we won't be able to go into that network of tunnels because it is impossible, impenetrable. But these brave commanders and soldiers have proven the exact opposite. Everything that was said is impossible, we have proven is possible. All the objectives that were designated for the soldiers, they have achieved. Beyond that, the achievements of the IDF are unprecedented. Within 4 months, the IDF have wounded and killed over 20,000 terrorists. In other words, we're talking about all those brigades that we have actually achieved to eliminate. Our soldiers are systematically destroying the tunnels that they are hiding in. The Hamas terrorists are hiding in them with caches of arms and hiding places that they thought were impenetrable, that no one could get into them, completely sound and safe. And now we are in Khan Yunis, and we have guided the IDF to go into these last strongholds of the Hamas. Here again, when the time comes, the IDF, according to international law, will enable the civilians a safe passage outside these areas. The destruction of this underground is what we are going to do till the very end. I would like to emphasize once again, there is no other solution other than this complete and decisive victory, because otherwise it is just a matter of time till the next massacre, and the axis of terror from Iran will continue. So only by destroying Hamas will we have security for the state of Israel in the north and in the south, because Hamas would like to radiate its terror all over the Middle East. I said to the Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, we're just a touch away, a finger away from that decisive victory. Now I would like to speak to the families of the hostages and say to them, your dearly beloved are always in our hearts, and we always and we're looking at you, we're looking at them, their pictures, and our heart is broken. And we will not stop acting the whole time, trying to find some kind of agreement, some way of bringing them home. Continuing this pressure is a condition, it's an unequivocal situation, and we must achieve their release. Because if we do not, we're going to bring a terrible catastrophe to the state of Israel if we stop. Now, for the day after, I would like to clarify that the day after is the day after Hamas. Not part of the Hamas, not half Hamas, but the entire Hamas. And I said to the Secretary of State, Blinken, that after we eliminate them, we will ensure that the Gaza Strip will be demilitarized forever. There is only one strength and power that can ensure that demilitarization. It is only the State of Israel and the IDF. They will act wherever and at any time that is necessary so that the terror will not be visible once again. No one will be able to continue financing terror and teaching their children such hatred. Yes, we will have to exchange UNRWA and bring other people in their place. And I spoke to the Secretary of State about that. We are standing at a historic turning point. Either we could go towards light or towards the dark. We will not let those dismal forces of Iran win. And eliminating the terrorists in Hamas is a condition that we must preserve for the sake of our security, our future, and our home. This we must do. It is incumbent upon us for the sake of all those who fell in this war. They did not fall in vain. We will not step back because the sword of Saul will not return to here. Together we will fight arm to arm, shoulder to shoulder. Thank you very much. And now, questions from Channel 13. You are promising a decisive victory. How can we achieve that when we are actually giving humanitarian aid and petrol to Hamas, and they're establishing themselves again in the north of Gaza? How can we reach this kind of victory, and what will it include? It will include the destruction of the military force of the Hamas terror organization. You said that Hamas is reestablishing itself. It's not true. Yes, first of all, we destroyed their actual battalions. In other words, there isn't a framework that someone will be able to say, now go and attack Company A, go and attack the IDF. It's as if you've taken a glass and you've hit it with a hammer, and yes, there are fragments, and now you're hitting the fragments again and again until you have tiny little sort of links that are left behind, tiny fragments. So with the way that we continue with our assaults time and time again, and we are fragmenting them and slowly dismantling them. And that is what the IDF is doing in the best possible way. We have to destroy their military force. And if you do not destroy the military force, then you can't destroy their civic force. And I believe that the armies of the world, when they're looking at us and they're comparing to what happened in Mosul that took 9 months, for all the allies to overcome 5,000 terrorists that didn't have that kind of underground town underneath like we have in the Gaza Strip, I believe that we are definitely on the way there. And to achieve that unequivocally so. Channel 11. Thank you very much, Prime Minister. Many civilians in the State of Israel are asking whether we support the decision to release Palestinian prisoners, terrorists who are sitting and who have blood on their hands. Well, we haven't actually committed to anything. We haven't committed to all those ideas about the numbers and that sort of a really enormous numbers that they're talking about of terrorists that we are to release. There are supposed to be some kind of process of negotiations with the mediators, but from what I've seen after the reaction, the response of Hamas, I don't know what is happening. I can't see it happening. Good evening. You decided this week to increase the number of humanitarian aid trucks going into Gaza. But hasn't the time come, like Gantz suggested, that you stop the humanitarian aid? And are you part and partner of the criticism of the police who are actually enforcing your decision? I have not decided to limit or increase. I mean, I certainly don't know where that came from. Usually fake news. I mean, this kind of wave that keeps coming and of fake news, and it's sort of the fact that they keep coming, it doesn't mean that it's true. And of course, I am suffering with the families of the hostages and of those who have fallen in this war. But we have committed, and we believe that if the trucks come in to such a degree, then we won't be able to continue. But we must deal with a really justified issue. We believe that up to 60% of the humanitarian aid is being taken away by Hamas. And at the time, President Biden said that if that happens, we have to take it away. And therefore, I have instructed the defense system to find a solution that would prevent that happening. And even if that means that they have to limit it to the utmost. Is the police preventing the disturbance? No, they are enforcing what they have been instructed to do. There should be equal enforcement to what is happening. For where things are not actually happening, I think that was the criticism, if I'm not mistaken. Minister Eisenkot is talking about an agreement at any price. Gantz is casting aspersions against you. So don't you feel that actually this sort of setup at the moment should be changed now, that of this war cabinet? I was the first who acted to have an emergency unity government, and we're standing firm with that, and I believe that we should continue with that. And if we are talking about unity, then we have to act in favor of unity. You can't actually act together and try and create rifts simultaneously. This is what is necessary at this time, and I sincerely hope that everyone will conduct themselves in that way. We are trying to achieve one central issue. We are gradually, slowly but surely, striving to achieve an absolute victory, a decisive victory. Someone said that they are coming and then they're not coming, they're going to join the government or not join the government. Come, if it was so simple, then he would have joined us, but he hasn't. Mr. Prime Minister, after Turkey and Jordan have criticized us very vehemently, Saudi Arabia is saying that there won't be normalization without some kind of Palestinian state. How do you feel about what's going to happen in the future? They will look good if we win. They won't look good if we don't win. Everyone today is sitting sort of watching us, the neutral countries, the other countries. They want to know who's going to win. Israel or Hamas? Israel backed by the United States, or is it the Hamas backed by the Houthis and Iran and everyone? So all this talk, everyone comes with the declarations and statements, but the test and the proof is in the pudding. I am pushing with all my force to bring about the victory, an absolute victory. In other words, we're talking about, you can't talk about victory and leave suddenly 6 battalions there. You have to eliminate Hamas. It has to be a complete dismantling of all their battalions, and you've got to deal with all those little fragments that I mentioned beforehand after you've already dismantled it. And of course, you've also got to destroy the entire underground town of tunnels that they've created. So yes, I've already grappled with a number, I think 4 very prominent peace agreements. And I believe there will be an agreement, but we will not manage to reach those agreements and those peace treaties and normalization without beating Hamas. Minister Gantz spoke yesterday about the military control of Gaza, but not the civilian control. But you said that we cannot enable the Hamas control in Gaza. How long do you think you can continue without an agreement about the day after? I have said it time and time again. There is an agreement on 2 main principles, and we don't need to continue beyond that. I mean, really, it's just an empty talk here. There are 2 issues that you have to talk about in earnest, and most of the public agrees to that. First of all, you've got to eliminate the Hamas, and that will happen. The second thing is you have got to ensure demilitarization, and that's only through the security forces and the IDF, in order to actually ensure that the Hamas won't be able to enforce themselves again. And you have to ensure that there will be a civic control there that will not enable the incitement and the hatred and everything that has been happening up to now. And most of the public agree to that. It makes sense. It makes sense. Otherwise, you cannot act. So people are talking about the why not now? Why can't you bring people now while everything is going on? Before you've eliminated Hamas. It's possible, but I sort of ponder on that idea. Do you really think that people will actually help us do it before we've actually completed the campaign there? So if you ask me, we can try, we can endeavor, but will we succeed significantly? No. As long as people think that we are not committed to a total elimination of the Hamas, and then you might find a situation wherein that if they do go and try and help us, they'll be shot in the heads. We won't be able to do it without that elimination. So the claim that you have to completely actually topple the civilian administration is really not serious. I believe that if you actually completely topple and destroy the military administration, then the civil one will be toppled as well. You have to continue eliminating their military power. And that is what I've said. Those are the orders that we have given. We have to understand that this will happen. Sorry. Aaron Cohen. Following the 7th of October and the massacre, the law about mobilization, the law about drafting, is it going to be discussed now? No, it's going to be postponed. It was said this morning that Anthony Blinken was going to meet the Chief of General Staffs in sort of a meeting. And is the pressure from the United States increasing? And will you be able to keep to it for a long period of time? I believe that yes, As it happened today, there are meetings between the Chief of General Staff, the head of the Mossad, of the GSS, and of course they did meet. I don't think that there should be private meetings when I go to Washington or to other places. I don't meet with each of them separately when I go to other places. There are various things that are irregular, but at the moment, I believe that this is how we should conduct ourselves like in any other civilized country. Shlomo Reichman. The people from the north have been displaced for 4 months. Hasn't the time come to move to some kind of military maneuver in the north? And what is going to happen, for example, with Mount Dov? We cannot leave a situation where we have nearly 120,000 of our own refugees in the north of Israel. And yes, there will be some kind of resolution to this situation, either in a military way or peacefully. So we have to return not only the sense of security, but real security for the residents of the North. And we will not rest until we achieve that. How we will achieve it? I wish to only suffice by saying that just take us seriously. We will definitely continue until that security returns. I suggest that people don't test us on that. We're not going to volunteer what we intend to do. Walla News. Would you permit Ben-Gvir to go up to the Temple Mount during this period of time? We're going to deliberate about the arrangements before the Ramadan, and I'm not going to discuss it now, but we will definitely examine what is the best thing to do for the state in all the relevant domains vis-à-vis sanctions that you mentioned. I think that that is a very, very grave situation. It is unworthy. It detrimentally affects an entire public who are definitely people who keep to the letter of the law. We're talking about the people, the Jewish settlers in the Judea and Samaria, and they are true heroes, how they have been fighting and participating in the IDF. So I think really, if you're talking about sanctions against them, I believe that this is very, very problematic. And I said it to the Secretary of State Blinken in the conversation we had. I believe that these sanctions against them are really very problematic. Mr. Prime Minister, after many hours of deliberations, the heads of the localities in the area around the Gaza Strip, they are demanding that you give some kind of public statement that there is no risk if they return to their homes. Are you willing to give such a statement? I have been acting together with my friends to create some kind of outline, a financial outline that would enable them to come back, but without feeling that they're under pressure. And of course, take into consideration all the children's and all the problems. And I believe that they've accepted that. Vis-à-vis the questions that they've asked, I'm going to meet with them and the Minister of Defense and ask all the various people involved to say what level of risk is there for these people to go back. I'm sure that it has decreased significantly, and no one can say 0% is possible. Mr. Prime Minister, we've seen a high rise in the cost of living. Yes, the prices have gone up. We'll have to be we will deal with that situation too. Mr. Prime Minister, I haven't understood. What is Israel's answer to Hamas? Have we said no to them? About what they answered? Well, from what I've seen, you would have said even no, even you. Are you still wearing the dog tag of the hostages? Bring the hostages home. I took my shirt off and wore another one. So it's now in my pocket. Yes, I have it. Usually it's on around my neck, but it's always with me. Why did you think that you'd ask such a question? I didn't think you would. Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister. Good evening.
Free now, F גדולה. Free now, 1 סימן קריאה.
עיתונאים יקרים, אני רק מגדיר עד שורה 4, משפחות, בסדר? משם והלאה, תקשורת, אוקיי? אחד, 2, כרגע קודם. To all the reporter and the journalists, I remind the 4 lines is for the families only, okay?
איפה הסרטון? זה. תחזיר את התמונה.
בואו קדימה, אין סיבה שתשמעו מאחורה, בואו קדימה.
משפחות יקרות, אני מבקש שתתקדמו לארבע השורות הראשונות. אני חוזר, 4 שורות ראשונות, משפחות בלבד. תקשורת מלמעלה. אחת, 2. כולם שומעים? לא שומעים טוב? הווב שלי אפשר לאמן?
איפה אבי? אבי בוא רגע. סרטון שיש לי פה.
אני רוצה רגע להוריד אותו, אבל תאמן לי פה שאני יכול...
מה לעשות?
לכבות את זה רגע.
לכבות לגמרי?
רק להדליק. כן, יש לך אותו?
אחד, אפשר לעדכן את המערכות שב8:17 אנחנו מתחילים. כן.
עוד 3 דקות זה מתחיל. עוד 3 שעות דקות זה מתחיל. עוד 3 דקות זה מתחיל.
מתחילים בסרטון שאני ואתה
גדעון, אתה לפרם.
ברגע זה החטופים...
קח כיסא יותר שנראו אותך גם. הכותרת היה טיפה יותר למטה, אז רואים אותה. לא, עם ה... זה מתחיל.
אנחנו 2 דקות נתחיל. אנחנו נתחיל מסרטון שהוא בערך כדקה. סרטון שהוא 36 שניות, ולאחר מכן אנחנו נתחיל בסרטון שאורכו 36 שניות.
ברגע זה...
ככה זה בסדר? זה הכי פתוח.
ברגע זה החטופים עדיין בעזה. ישראלים כמונו, שהיו במקום הלא נכון. ועכשיו
הם בגיהנום. ואנחנו יודעים שאם לא נחזיר אותם, אין לנו הווה ואין לנו עתיד. כי אנחנו נדע בלב שלנו, שאם יקרה לנו משהו, יפקירו גם אותנו.
70% מהישראלים אומרים שזאת החובה של המדינה לעשות הכל כדי להחזיר את החטופים.
חובה להחזיר אותם.
רגע האמת, חיים או מוות?
כן.
ערב טוב. אנחנו נמצאים ברגע האמת. חיים או מוות. רגע לפני מפגש הפסגה בקהיר, החטופות ששבו אלינו משבי החמאס ביקשו להעביר הערב מסר חד וברור לראש הממשלה, קבינט המלחמה, אזרחי ישראל והעולם כולו. זו לא עוד הצהרה לתקשורת. אנחנו בזמן חירום. בעוד ימים אחדים ייחרץ גורלם של 136 חטופות וחטופים הנמקים במנהרות החמאס. ברשותכם, אני אעביר את רשות הדיבור לחטופות היקרות שחזרו ובאומץ לב נמצאות איתנו כאן הערב על מנת לזעוק את זעקתם של אלו שנשארו מאחור וקולם לא יכול להישמע. שרון.
אנחנו, חטופי אוקטובר 23, פונים הערב לשרה ובנימין נתניהו, לקלודים ויואב גלנט, לרויטל ובני גנץ, ליפה ואריה דרעי, לרודה ורון דרמר ולמשפחת אייזנקוט ששילמה את המחיר הכבד מכל במלחמה בעזה. הגענו לרגע האמת, הגענו לרגע הנורא מכל, הרגע שבו נגזר עליכם להחליט מי לחיים ומי למוות, מי יחזור ומי יהפוך טרף לחיות אדם. ברגע הזה עומדים לנגד עינינו דורות של יהודים שגדלו וחונכו על ערך היסוד של כל המציל נפש אחת בישראל כאילו הציל עולם מלא. 136 עולמות מחכים כעת במנהרה, ללא חמצן, ללא מזון, ללא מים וללא תקווה, כדי שתצילו אותם. המחיר כבד, המחיר בלתי נסבל, המחיר מכווץ את הבטן והגוף, אבל מחירה של הפקרה יהפוך לכתם היסטורי לדורי דורות. הפקרה תהפוך למילה נרדפת למי שיגזרו גזר דין מוות, למי שהופקרו ונחטפו תחת כהונתם.
את מחיר שחרורו של מחבל ניתן לתקן, ניתן להפוך וניתן לסכל בכל עת שבו יחליטו קברניטי המדינה שנחצה קו. כך היה עם סמיר קונטר, גדול המרצחים, וכך היה עם השייח אחמד יאסין, בכיר בארגוני החמאס. את מחיר הקרבתם של 136 ילדים, נשים וגברים שנחטפו ממיטתם על לא עוול בכפם ועוברים התעללות פיזית, מינית ונפשית ברגעים אלו ממש, לא יתקנו נאומים, גם לא סרטונים או ציוצים. הכינוי הנורא אות קין יחליף את שמו למי שירים ידו נגד שחרורם של אלו המשלמים מחיר שלא יהיה ניתן לתקנו. מיליוני ישראלים ומיליוני יהודים נושאים את עיניהם כעת לשישה אנשים שיגבלו את גורלה של מדינת ישראל. אם ישובו החטופים לביתם, ידע כל ישראלי שלא ננוח ולא נשקוט כדי להגן עליו. אם לא ישובו החטופים לביתם, ידעו כל שמיניסט, כל אמא וכל אבא שהם הבאים בתור, שחייהם ערכם כקליפת השום, שהם חיים במדינה שאינה מחויבת לביטחונם ושעליהם לדאוג לביטחון משפחתם בעצמם, שהערבות ההדדית מתה. מי שלא יגן על אזרחיו ימצא שאזרחיו בורחים ממנו וממנהיגותו.
אזרחי ישראל בעולם עוקבים בחרדה עמוקה אחר גורל החטופים. 124 ימים של חיבוק מרגש, של אהבה אינסופית, של גורל משותף. מדינה אחת, משפחה אחת, גורל אחד. אנו רוצים להודות לכם על התמיכה האינסופית המרגשת והכנה. תודה שאתם איתנו ברגע האמת. ביחד נקיים את המצווה החשובה ביותר בעולם, הערכים שלנו כעם יהודי. נציל חיים. אם נציל אותם, נציל את מדינת ישראל, וזה יהיה הניצחון המוחלט.
עדינה משה.
ערב טוב. אני מבקשת לפנות אל ראש הממשלה שלי ואל משפחתו, אל שרה ואל בניו. אני הייתי שם, אני הרגשתי שם, אני כאבתי שם, אבל שוחררתי. החברים שלי, הנערים והנערות שאותם חינכתי, עדיין שם.